Heartwarming twist. Nurse steps in for friend on blind date. Discover how this single dad CEO's life changes forever. It was a Friday night in Oakwood, and the vibrant atmosphere of the Cozy Fork filled the air with laughter, clinking glasses, and the enticing aroma of garlic and herbs. Sarah, a dedicated nurse with a heart to match, stood at the entrance. She felt her stomach twist, her scrubs were wrinkled, and her mind was still replaying the day's emotional strain. But the thought of letting her best friend down was worse. With a deep breath, she stepped inside, ready to face the unknown. As she glanced around, her eyes landed on Mark, a striking man with an effortless charm. His disarming smile lit up the room, even as it barely masked the tension in his jaw. They exchanged introductions, and soon they were chatting over shareable appetizers. Their conversations began light but quickly deepened, revealing raw truths. Mark, a CEO consumed by board meetings and spreadsheets, spoke of his spirited daughter, Emma, who often felt like an afterthought in his busy world. Sarah recognized that her own heart carried the weight of countless patients, her compassion stretched thin by the overwhelming demands of her job. "Sometimes, I feel like I'm losing her," Mark admitted, vulnerability lacing his voice. Sarah's chest tightened in response. She could see it in his eyes, a shared understanding of loneliness that danced between them. It was comforting, yet bittersweet. Their chemistry was palpable. It was as if the universe drew them together amidst the chaos of their lives. But societal judgments hovered like storm clouds, and Sarah could feel the disdain of Mark's wealthy acquaintances through brief, appraising glances. In a dim corner of the restaurant, she found herself captivated not just by his story, but by his essence, this man balancing the scales of love and responsibility. Sarah had always prioritized caring for others, yet standing before him, she felt an unsettling blend of hope and despair. Then, just as they began to dip their toes into something more, a financial crisis hit her hospital. Like a thunderclap, rumors of closure spread like wildfire. Before Sarah could catch her breath, she discovered Mark's company was tangled in the scandal, a corporate web threatening everything she held dear. "This isn't just business for me," she said, frustration rising like bile. "It's lives." Beneath the gorgeous setting of the Cozy Fork, the thrill of excitement they shared turned to tension. Could they truly bridge the ever-widening gap between their worlds? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mark brushed a hand through his hair, his face shadowed with worry. They had to do something, lessons etched in their hearts. They became unlikely allies, fueled by the hope that they could take a stand together. They organized a community event to rally support for the hospital, igniting a passion for change in those around them. Neighbors gathered, stories of struggle and resilience echoing through the streets. Laughter blended with tears. But as the date of their event approached, a gnawing thought remained. Could Mark shed the armor of his corporate identity? And would Sarah find the strength to rise above the judgments that loomed? With their worlds colliding, a storm brewed, and just when they thought a spark ignited, an unexpected twist lay ahead. Would love be enough to transcend the insistent clamor of expectations? With the community event just days away, Sarah and Mark poured every ounce of their energy into making it a success. They spent late hours together, discussing strategies, making phone calls, and arranging details. Each moment was electric. Every shared laugh and stolen glance, these late-night planning sessions brought them closer. On a crisp Saturday morning, the sun filtered softly through the trees, illuminating the park where the event would take place. Festive banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and tables were decorated with cheerful flowers. But in the quiet moments just before it began, doubt nudged at Sarah's resolve. What if no one showed up? What if they failed? The anxiety gripped her, and she hesitated, pulling Mark aside. What if we're just wasting our time? What if this doesn't even make a difference? Her voice was barely above a whisper, but Mark caught the tremor. "Look around, Sarah," he said, motioning with a nod towards the bustling crowd beginning to gather. "People care. They want to fight for something meaningful. Just being here is a step in the right direction. He took her hands in his, grounding her. Together, we can make a change. You taught me that. His conviction flared an ember of hope in her chest. With a shaky breath, she nodded, forcing a smile. Still, the pressure of expectations felt like a heavy cloak around her shoulders. The event kicked off, filled with heartfelt speeches from patients and healthcare workers. The atmosphere shifted as stories of personal connection resonated through the crowd, igniting a common purpose. Mark shared an account of Emma's struggles and how vital the hospital was to their family. As he spoke, his eyes sparkled, and for a moment, Sarah felt pride swell within her. This wasn't just about saving a hospital. It was about community, resilience, and love. Yet, amidst the celebration, Sarah couldn't ignore the whispers that snaked through the crowd as she and Mark stood side by side. Looks of curiosity, confusion, and, at times, judgment lingered in the air. The wealth gap, the differences in their worlds, it felt like an invisible barrier rising between them. She sensed Mark was aware too, his smile occasionally faltering when he caught sight of the scrutinizing glances directed toward her. As the event progressed, a young girl approached them, her eyes wide with hope. Are you guys fixing the hospital? My mom needs that place. She says she wouldn't be alive without it. Mark knelt, enveloping the girl in a warm embrace, his heart swelling with purpose. Sarah felt her defenses slip. The girl's clarity pierced through her fears. Absolutely, Mark replied, his voice strong and sincere. And because of brave folks like you, we won't give up. As they turned back to the event, something shifted. Their hands naturally brushed against each other, a fleeting connection charged with unspoken words. But just as Sarah reached for it, a loud crash echoed through the park, an ominous sound that sent a wave of silence crashing over the crowd. She glanced back at the stage and noticed a group of disgruntled corporate well-wishers, faces twisted in anger. They had come to confront Mark. You're risking everything for this. For her? One of them shouted, voice dripping with contempt. The tension in the air crackled so fiercely that Sarah's heart raced. What would Mark do? How would they face this? Would this event shatter the fragile connection they were building? As eyes turned, searching for answers, Sarah felt a fierce surge of resolve. It was now or never. Would they keep fighting for the hospital and, perhaps, for each other? With the weight of their different worlds pressing in, they stood together, ready to face the storm. Mark straightened up, his jaw clenched. The crowd fell silent, all eyes zeroing in on the brewing confrontation. Sarah felt every heartbeat thud in her chest, each pulse echoing her anxiety. Listen, Mark began, his voice steady but firm. What we're doing here isn't just a risk, it's a necessity. People in this community need a hospital that cares. You don't get that from a spreadsheet. The man who had shouted leaned in, arms crossed, a smirk dancing on his lips. And what do you really know about it? You think you can just play hero because a little girl tugged at your heartstrings? You don't belong here. His words sliced through the crowd, sending whispers fluttering like startled birds. Sarah's breath hitched. How could he say that? As the murmurs grew, she felt desperation wash over her. This wasn't just about the hospital anymore. This was personal. She squeezed Mark's hand, seeking some strength in the warmth of his palm. Mark, don't, she started, but the courage in his eyes ignited something deep within her. She didn't want to hide anymore. We need this hospital, she said, surprising even herself with the strength of her voice. Not just for the patients, but for the families. For every girl who believes her mother's life matters. You're wrong to dismiss this. Mark's gaze shifted to her, searching, as if he gauged the depth of her resolve. His expression softened, and the tension in his stance eased. Together, they faced the assembly, the disgruntled corporate members, and the curious crowd alike. The man scoffed, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. And what exactly is this caring going to give us, huh? Cash flow? Profits? Sarah took a step forward, drew in a steadying breath, and found the words she needed. No, it's about community. It's about human lives. It's about stories. We all have stories that matter. When we look at that hospital, we see hope. That's worth more than money. The crowd began murmuring in agreement. She could feel it, a collective energy building. Mark glanced around, reassured by the shift in atmosphere. We're not giving up, he added, his eyes ablaze with passion. Not for you, not for anyone. We want a better future for each and every person who relies on that hospital. Together, Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she had held. They were in sync, sharing an undeniable bond as the crowd shifted, feeling more connected than ever. Then, unexpectedly, a warm applause started from the back of the crowd, slowly building like a wave. Sarah turned, her heart swelling as more joined in, the sounds of clapping cascading around them. The corporate man's eyes widened, and he stepped back, shocked by the unity forming. That spark of hope ignited something within Sarah. Maybe, just maybe, they were making a difference. Together, as the crowd continued to cheer, she locked eyes with Mark. They stood there, electrified by the moment. But then she noticed a figure lurking behind the crowd, someone watching them closely. Her heart skipped a face she didn't expect to see, a specter from her past that threatened to unravel everything. The moment was perfect, but now a shadow loomed over it. Who was it, and what did they want? Would this presence disrupt the fragile bond they had forged? Sarah's stomach twisted as she prepared for the unknown. It seemed like changes were in motion, and not just in the community. The fight was only just beginning. As the clapping faded into a hum of excitement, Sarah's heart raced for a different reason now. The face she spotted lurking didn't belong to just anyone. It belonged to Jenna, her childhood friend and former ally turned rival. Sarah hadn't seen Jenna in years, not since their fallout that had sent their lives in opposite directions. What was she doing here? Mark must have sensed the shift in her demeanor. He squeezed her hand tighter, and she turned back to the crowd, but her focus remained on Jenna. The woman with the glinting eyes and knowing smile seemed to serve as a reminder of everything that threatened to break apart their newfound unity. "Who asked that?" Mark whispered, his voice barely audible above the murmurs around them. "Jenna, a friend from long ago," Sarah replied, her stomach tightening further. "We had a falling out." "I can see that," Mark said, his brow furrowing as he glanced over her shoulder. "She looks involved." Before Sarah could answer, Jenna stepped forward, cutting through the wave of applause like a hot knife through butter. The crowd parted as if they sensed the unexpected tension. Jenna's boldness made Sarah's heart race with uncertainty. "Sarah, there you are," Jenna called, her tone deceptively cheerful. "What a touching moment. You two really think you can pull this off? I guess that's just adorable." Sarah's throat tightened. Jenna had always found a way to twist words, building herself up while tearing others down. She took a breath. "We're trying to make a difference, Jenna. Something this community needs." "Oh, I get it," Jenna continued, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "You think the world needs another underfunded hospital? You should know better. Money talks." Mark clenched his jaw, ready to leap into the argument, but Sarah raised her hand to stop him. If this were to be a showdown, it should be between her and Jenna. "What is this really about?" she managed, her voice steady despite the tumult of emotions. "Why are you really here?" "Just doing my part, darling," Jenna said, feigning innocence. "And honestly, I'm here opening doors you've closed. There are always financial opportunities to consider. I can help improve the financials of your little operation." Frustration bubbled beneath Sarah's skin. "You think this is about money?" she asked. "You think we don't care enough about this community?" "Of course you care," Jenna replied, stepping closer, eyes glinting. "But caring alone won't pay for the bills or keep the lights on." The crowd stood still, tension thick in the air, as if everyone could feel the showdown brewing. Sarah's fists clenched. "And what, Jenna? You think you have the formula? That your ways are the only right ways?" As Jenna opened her mouth, ready to strike back, Mark suddenly interjected, turning the tide. "You aren't understanding the truth here," he said. "People before profits. That's the heart of this matter." The crowd released an audible sigh of agreement, but Jenna rolled her eyes, undeterred. "You underestimate me. I don't just care about profits. I care about what it takes to make this community thrive." Then the unexpected happened. A woman at the front of the crowd stepped forward, trembling but determined. "And what makes it thrive, Jenna?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Money alone hasn't helped me. Hospital bills have ruined me." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Jenna was momentarily taken aback, and Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Could they keep leveraging these moments for change? Before Sarah could respond, Jenna smirked, her eyes darting back to Sarah. "You better believe this isn't the end. I'll be watching." With that, she turned on her heel and walked away, her heels clicking audibly against the pavement, leaving a tension that still lingered. Mark looked at Sarah, searching her eyes. "You okay?" he asked softly. "I will be," she replied, feeling shaken but more resolute than before. They had to keep fighting, no matter what Jenna tried. But as the rally continued, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Jenna's presence was a prelude to more struggle. What would Jenna do next? Would she try to sabotage their efforts? The questions echoed in her mind, blending with the applause and cheers, as the crowd rallied once more around the idea of hope. But there was a storm brewing, and it was far from over. The rally buzzed with energy, but Sarah felt like a tightrope walker, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Conversations flowed around them as people began to share their stories too, but all she could think about was Jenna's words and the weight they carried. There was a part of Sarah that feared Jenna wasn't just a ghost from her past. She was a looming threat to everything they were trying to build. "Did you see how she came in here?" Mark whispered, pulling Sarah back to the present. "She doesn't care about any of this. It's all about winning for her." "I know," Sarah replied, her heart racing in response to the anxiety curling in her stomach. "But we have our own strength. We're not alone in this." As if on cue, other community members began to approach them one by one, faces warm and supportive. A man named Dave stepped forward, his voice steady. "I saw how you stood up to her. You're right. It's not just about money, it's about people. We need that hospital." Nodding earnestly, Sarah felt the heaviness lift just a little. "Thank you. I know it seems impossible, but we're trying to turn this around." The crowd grew warmer, their collective spirit igniting a flame within her. They shared laughter and hopes for better days as Sarah soaked in their encouragement. It rekindled the fire inside her, making her want to shout from rooftops. But still, Jenna's words echoed in her mind. Money talks. A thought jolted her. Jenna's offer was a double-edged sword. If they took funds from Jenna, they may lose their original vision. Their mission was about compassion, not trading souls for dollars. If they truly wanted to make an impact, they had to find a different way. Suddenly, a voice broke her thoughts. It belonged to Maria, an elderly woman who had always been a pillar in the community. "You know, Sarah, I used to think that all it took was $1 to build dreams. But it's people like you who breathe life into those dreams. Don't let her twist that for you." Tears pricked at the corner of Sarah's eyes. She had often underestimated the power of community, but standing there, anonymity shattered. Their stories bound them like family. "Thank you, Maria. I'll remember that," Sarah choked out as she fought to keep her emotions in check. The energy shifted again when a local teenager named Tyler rushed in, a look of excitement plastered across his face. "I have an idea. What if we host a fundraising event? Something that brings everyone together, a talent show or a bike race?" The crowd murmured in agreement, and Sarah nodded as enthusiasm spread. "Yes, we can create something amazing just from us. It can be about hope, about a future we choose, not one forced upon us." Mark's eyes sparkled in a way that made her heart flutter. This could be the way to show Jenna we don't need her. We need each other. He took her hand and held it boldly, as if together they could forge ahead against any obstacle. With each passing moment, Sarah began to feel the old fears slowly slipping away, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, the rally had begun as a call for support, but now it transformed into a rallying cry for resistance against apathy. They started discussing ideas, building blocks of laughter and camaraderie that filled the park. And even as Sarah felt joy, a part of her was still alert. Jenna's warning hovered above them like storm clouds. But for now, they worked, shared smiles, made plans, and wove dreams. Yet deep down, Sarah knew that they had to prepare for the inevitable return of Jenna as plans took shape and the sun began to set, bringing a warm glow over the crowd. Sarah felt it an undercurrent of anticipation, of something monumental about to unfold. How far could they go before Jenna struck back? Would their community rally around them, or would they crumble under external pressure? The answers teased the edges of her thoughts as the air thickened with promise and tension. Before long, the excitement around the plans for the talent show began to take on a life of its own. Sarah could see it in everyone's faces, the determination, the hope, the sense that they were becoming something more together. As Tyler laid out ideas, scribbling them on a piece of paper, Sarah felt a warmth spread through her chest. This wasn't just another event. It was a lifeline, a way to unite and stand firmly against Jenna's influence. Let us aim for next month, Tyler exclaimed, bouncing on his heels. It'll give us enough time to pull people in and get sponsorship from every local business we can think of. Mark nodded, his enthusiasm infectious. We need volunteers too. Sarah, I know you have connections. Maybe we can get the high school band to play? They'll love the exposure. Definitely. I'll talk to them, Sarah said, her resolve strengthening. The thought of everyone working together, pooling talents and resources, filled her with an invigorating energy. They could do this. They had something real to fight for. As they threw around more ideas, Sarah's gaze drifted toward the horizon, where the sun was dipping low. Dusk draped the park in a deep golden hue, and she couldn't help but feel that in this moment, they were building a small kingdom of hope under the fading light. But Jenna's looming shadow was still there. What if Jenna finds out about our event before we're ready? She suddenly asked, her voice cutting into the excitement like a knife. The laughter and joy in the air seemed to stutter momentarily, uncertainty creeping in again. Let her know, Dave said, voice unwavering. We're not hiding. This is our community, our fight. If she wants a war, then let us show her what we're made of. His words ignited a spark in the group. Heads nodded, and Sarah felt adrenaline kick in. They could stand strong. They wouldn't be ashamed of what they were trying to accomplish. Suddenly, a small voice piped up from the edge of the group. It was Clara, a shy girl with big dreams who had been drawn in by the conversation. Can I sing? She asked, her cheeks flushed with both excitement and trepidation. Of course, Sarah replied, kneeling to meet her eye level. You can do anything you set your mind to. You don't just have a voice, you have a heart that can inspire others. Clara's smile widened. Okay, I want to sing something about hope. The entire group erupted with cheers, and Sarah felt her heart swell. Clara's bravery inspired the others to share their own dreams. They began to talk about performances, themed acts, and what the audience might want to see. Laughter and plans intertwined, and for a moment, it drowns out Jenna's threat. Yet, in the back of Sarah's mind, a dark whisper lingered. What would Jenna do once she learned of their plans? Would she retaliate, intimidate, or worse? Sarah bit her lip, the optimistic bubble inconsistently pierced by worry. As the night deepened, they solidified their plans, and with each new idea, the collective strength behind them grew fiercer. Sarah caught Mark's gaze. His certainty mirrored hers. Still, a question danced around in her mind like a stubborn wind. What might they be risking by upsetting Jenna? But, together, they had built a glimmer of hope against the shadow. As they parted ways, the night cloaked them in stars, each shining brightly against the darkness surrounding them. In that moment, Sarah steeled herself. She would not let fear dictate their direction any longer. They would move forward, together. Only together would they weather the storm that Jenna was sure to unleash. She took a deep breath, feeling light at the possibility of days ahead, but the apprehension still lingered. As Sarah walked home, her heart raced in anticipation and dread. What was Jenna planning next? Would they be ready when the time came? The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting a bright light over the park where they had gathered the night before. Sarah woke feeling energized yet anxious. With each beat, her heart whispered reminders of the plans they had forged, a talent show that could change everything. She grabbed her phone and scrolled through messages. The group had already begun planning, posting ideas, and generating excitement online. It was reassuring to see it all come together, but with it came the inevitable worry about Jenna. At school that day, whispers filled the hallways. Students were chatting about talent acts and what they could do for the show. Sarah spotted Clara at her locker, her face positively glowing with enthusiasm. Sarah, I told my mom, and she is going to help me pick out the perfect song. Clara beamed, her eyes shining bright with hope. That is fantastic, Clara, Sarah replied, feeling her heart lift. You're going to be amazing. But as soon as the joy hit, it was pierced by the memory of Jenna. The silence of fear vibrated beneath the surface of the excitement. What if Jenna attempted to crush their dreams before they even took flight? As lunchtime arrived, the cafeteria buzzed with the same energy that had overtaken their conversation in the park. News of the talent show spread like wildfire, and it warmed Sarah to see classmates brainstorming ideas, catching the spirit of hope. Hey, did you guys hear? Said Mark, sliding into their booth with a grin. I talked to the coach, and he's totally on board for the band. Cheers erupted around the table. Sarah felt a rush of pride for their growing community. Every small victory felt monumental, like the stacking of bricks to build something solid. But there was chatter in the corner of the cafeteria that didn't go unnoticed. Jenna sat with her usual group, pointing at Sarah, smirking and whispering under her breath. Sarah tried to tune it out, squeezing her hands together under the table. "What's up, Sarah?" asked Clara, noticing her discomfort. "You look worried." "It's just Jenna," Sarah admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "She can't be allowed to ruin this," Mark reassured her. "We won't back down. We have something important here." But no matter their collective strength, the dark whisper nagged at Sarah. She couldn't shake the feeling that Jenna wouldn't let them succeed without a fight. After school, as Sarah walked home, her resolve began to waver. The sun began to set, casting long shadows that mirrored her thoughts. The world seemed full of possibilities, yet the looming question remained: what could Jenna do? Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Tyler. "Urgent. Meet me at the park, something has come up." Her heart raced. What could be happening now? Did Jenna already find out about their plans? She quickened her pace, her mind running wild with scenarios. As she approached the park, she spotted Tyler pacing, his face tense. "Sarah," he called out, motioning her over. "I need you to stay calm, but I heard something. Jenna might have a plan to disrupt our talent show." Fear washed over her, but it was also a spark. It was time to confront the shadows, to take a stand firm in their light. "What do we do?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the churn inside. "Let us gather everyone and make a plan," he replied. "We're not going to let her think she can intimidate us." Heart pounding with new determination, Sarah took a deep breath. They weren't just fighting Jenna, they were fighting for their community and each other. As they rallied the others, she felt a rush of hope. They could face Jenna together. But deep down, a chilling question entered her mind. Just how far would Jenna go to put a stop to their dreams? The night air was thick with tension as Sarah and Tyler gathered their friends at the park. Sarah could see the unease mirrored in their eyes, each one lit by a flickering lantern that bobbed gently in the soft evening breeze. They stood in a small circle, the excitement of the talent show dimmed by the looming threat of Jenna's sabotage. "Okay, everyone," Tyler started, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "We need to figure out what Jenna is planning and how we can stop her. No one should be able to crush our dreams like this." Sarah looked around at her friends. Clara was biting her lip, her usual spark dimmed. Mark stood with his arms crossed, frowning deeply. They were all feeling the weight of Jenna's looming presence. What was she capable of? What if she spreads rumors? Or tries to intimidate us into withdrawing? Clara's question hung in the air, heavy with fear. "No," Sarah interjected, feeling her heartbeat quicken. "We can't let her take that power. We have something good here. We've built this together. It's our time to shine." Mark nodded, drawing the attention back to the group. "Let us double down on our efforts. If we show up stronger, it'll shut her down. We can remind everyone why this talent show is important." As the group brainstormed, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. They started planning, pooling their talents. Suddenly, the darkness receded, replaced by light-hearted ideas and laughter that echoed through the park, mingling with the sounds of rustling leaves. But as the night deepened, Sarah's mind drifted back to Jenna. The laughter in her heart felt fragile, and she couldn't shake the unease coiling in her stomach. What would Jenna do next? Just as they were wrapping up, the familiar sound of footsteps approached, heavy and deliberate. Sarah turned, her heart dropping at the sight. Jenna appeared, flanked by her ever-supportive clique. The whispers in the group faded into silence, replaced by a collective breath held tight. "Look who we have here," Jenna called out, her smile insincere. "The wannabe stars of the talent show. How cute." Tyler stepped forward, protectively positioning himself in front of Sarah and the others. "What do you want, Jenna?" His voice was firm, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed his calm exterior. Jenna shrugged, her expression dripping with disdain. "Just came to remind you that not everyone thinks you're talented. Maybe it's time to back off before you embarrass yourselves." Her words felt cruel, slicing through the atmosphere. Sarah's stomach churned, uncertainty swirling within her. But instead of cowering, she felt a spark of defiance. This was their moment, and they wouldn't let Jenna steal it. "Honestly, Jenna," Sarah called out, stepping forward, her voice steady despite the tremor inside her. "We're not afraid of you. Our talent show is going to be amazing, and you can't stop us." Jenna raised an eyebrow, surprise flickering in her eyes, but quickly masked by a smirk. "Is that so? Well, let us see how this unfolds. I'll be watching." As Jenna turned to leave, a wave of uncertainty washed over Sarah. But behind her, she could sense the support of her friends, bolstering her confidence. They were in this together now, and Jenna's cruelty only fueled their determination. "Okay, let us keep the momentum," Tyler encouraged, breaking the tension as he clenched his fists. "This just means we need to work harder. We'll show her we're serious." As they took a deep breath, newly united, Sarah smiled at her friends. They had each other's backs, and together they were stronger than Jenna's darkness. But still, the question lingered in the back of her mind. How far would Jenna go to tear them apart? With their resolve ignited, Sarah knew they must be ready for anything. "Let us meet tomorrow," Sarah suggested, her voice steady. "We'll figure out our acts and keep everything under wraps. The more we practice, the less power she has over us." The group nodded, excitement blooming in the dim light. But the night deepened, and outside their circle of hope, shadows danced menacingly. What hidden obstacles lay ahead? And would they be enough to silence Jenna once and for all? The next day dawned bright and sunny, a stark contrast to the swirling storm of emotions that loomed in Sarah's mind. She arrived at the park early, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. The air was clear and fresh, but her thoughts were bogged down with possibilities of what Jenna might do next. As Sarah waited for her friends, she reviewed their plans. They had settled on a skit, combining acting and music. She couldn't help but smile at the thought of their quirky ideas. Clara was going to sing an upbeat song, while Mark and Tyler performed a short comedic routine in between. They had also set aside time for her own small routine, a dance piece that she had always kept hidden. It was a part of her she didn't often share, but now felt like the perfect moment to let it shine. Finally, Clara arrived, her usual enthusiasm peeking through the morning haze. "Hey, Sarah, ready for today?" she asked, bouncing on her toes. It was infectious, and Sarah felt her heart lift a little. "Yeah, let us do this," Sarah replied, forcing confidence into her voice. They hugged, both feeling the weight of what was at stake. The two stood under the large oak tree that marked their meeting spot, sharing their excitement about their practices that day. Moments later, Tyler and Mark arrived, their faces mixed with determination and enthusiasm. They formed a circle, and Sarah felt a spark of hope blooming within her. They practiced their acts, laughter filling the otherwise silent park. But every laugh felt bittersweet, colored by the worry of Jenna's looming threat. Just as they began to feel confident, the sound of approaching footsteps sent a chill down Sarah's spine. Jenna appeared again, this time alone. Her eyes flashed with mischief as she stopped at the edge of their makeshift stage. "What a lovely little gathering you have here," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Practicing for a talent show? How adorable." Tyler stepped up, standing tall in front of Jenna. "We won't let you intimidate us, Jenna. We've got this." "Oh, sweetie, it's not intimidation." Jenna leaned in closer, her eyes narrowing. "It's reality. You really think you can compete? I mean, I can hardly wait to see you embarrass yourselves. Everyone else will be laughing." Her words hung heavily in the air, threatening to extinguish their bright flame of hope. Clara lowered her gaze, but Sarah felt her resolve tightening. They couldn't let Jenna's negativity snuff out their dreams. "Look, Jenna, we're not afraid to try," Sarah replied, more firmly than she felt. "We're going to give it our all. Maybe that's something you could learn from us." Jenna's smirk faded for just a moment, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. But to her credit, she regained her composure quickly, tossing her hair back dismissively. "We'll see how that turns out, won't we? Good luck. You're going to need it." With that, she turned and strutted away, a victorious glint in her stride that made Sarah seethe with anger. Yet deep down, something began to bubble. Where Jenna saw weaknesses, Sarah saw strength born from unity. Once Jenna was out of sight, Sarah turned back to her friends, their expressions revealing a mix of fear and determination. "This just means we need to show her what we're made of. No more holding back." The group rallied around her, their spirits rising in the face of adversity. They spent the rest of the day honing their acts, losing themselves in the rhythm of laughter and movement. Each little success fueled their belief in one another and solidified their resolve to not be torn apart. As twilight descended, they stood huddled together, heartbeats sinking under the soft glow of the lingering light. "Tomorrow, we'll be ready," Tyler promised. The hope in his voice resonated with them, uniting their hearts in unbreakable determination. But deep inside, Sarah felt an uneasy knot tighten in her stomach. They were a team, facing a common enemy, but she feared Jenna was still plotting something more sinister. Would they be ready to face whatever Jenna had in store? And most importantly, could they truly overcome the darkness that threatened to engulf their spirits? The morning of the talent show arrived like a breath of fresh air, filled with anticipation and hope. Sarah awoke early, her heart racing at the thought of what lay ahead. She curled her fingers against the sheets, focusing on how far they had come. Deep down, she felt resilience blooming within her like flowers in spring. After a quick breakfast, she donned her outfit, a simple but vibrant dress that made her feel alive. She was ready to share her passion, ready to stand beside her friends in the name of community. As she stepped outside, the sun cast warm rays across the park, illuminating the festive banners fluttering in the breeze. When Sarah arrived at the community park, she was greeted by the buzzing energy of friends and neighbors setting up the space. Laughter echoed, mingling with the rich scent of roasted corn wafting through the air. Tyler and Clara were already there, busy with last-minute preparations. "Sarah, over here." Clara waved her arms excitedly, bouncing on her heels. The joy radiating from her made Sarah's heart swell. "Can't believe it's finally here," Sarah breathed, enveloping Clara in a quick hug. "We've worked so hard. All of us." Tyler chimed in, the smile stretching across his face. "By tonight, everyone will see how incredible this group really is." As they rehearsed one last time, the park was filled with camaraderie, energy crackling in the air. They ran through their skit, laughter spilling over in waves. Mark's comedic timing had the entire crew in stitches, and Sarah couldn't help but join in. Clara's charm as she prepared for her song radiated confidence that enveloped them all. Yet, like an unseen shadow creeping at the corners of a sunlit room, Jenna's presence loomed in the back of Sarah's mind. A palpable tension hung in the air, and glimpses of Jenna surveying the preparations sent a shiver down her spine. Despite the brightness surrounding them, a storm of uncertainty played in the depths of her heart. As the sun dipped lower, the crowd began to gather. The energy shifted, excitement buzzing through the air like the hum of summer cicadas. Sarah took a deep breath, looking around at familiar faces, neighbors, friends, families. They were here for a purpose, a coming together that transcended the dark intentions of a single person. The talent show began, and Sarah lost herself in the moment. One by one, performers took the stage, sharing their gifts wrapped in laughter, hope, and vulnerability. Clara stepped into the spotlight, her voice ringing out, pure and breathtaking. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by the spirit of unity enveloping the park. Cheers erupted, and every performance seemed to heal invisible wounds, weaving threads of connection through the crowd. As the acts unfolded, Sarah felt the weight of doubt begin to lift. They were making a difference. Then it was their turn. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the surge of adrenaline, hands trembling slightly. She glanced at Mark and Tyler, who flashed her encouraging smiles. Together, they stepped into the spotlight, the lights dimming in anticipation. As they performed, laughter erupted, and their skit resonated with the audience, capturing all the fears, struggles, and triumphs they had faced together. Sarah moved naturally, as if the rhythm of their hearts beat in sync. With every line delivered, every joke shared, she felt a part of something bigger. But just as they reached the crescendo of their act, a new sound cut through the cheers, the unmistakable voice of Jenna from the back of the crowd. "You really think this is enough? Pathetic." She sneered, her arms crossed defiantly. Gasps rippled through the audience, and Sarah's heart sank. But instead of retreating, her resolve ignited. She locked eyes with Mark, who stepped forward, emboldened. "This isn't about us, Jenna. It's about every person who believes in something more than money." The crowd echoed his words, voices rising together. "We stand for our community," Sarah continued, her voice carrying strength she didn't know she had. "This talent show is about hope. It's about healing each other through the art we create and the stories we share. Your negativity will not overshadow that. Jenna faltered, surprised by the unity that surged through the crowd. For a moment, uncertainty flickered across her face. And suddenly, the audience erupted in cheers, clapping and chanting, drowning out Jenna's harshness. With the strength of everyone behind her, Sarah felt a metamorphosis unfold. What started as a space tinged with anxiety and fear transformed into a place of light and acceptance. Jenna was now merely a shadow against the vibrant flames of hope ignited all around. As the show continued, Sarah felt a weight lift off her shoulders, replaced by connection and light. Each act stood as a heartbeat of the community, blending hope and love into something unbreakable. They finished their performance, and applause hung thick in the air, waves of support engulfing them. As night fell, the park shimmered under twinkling lights, a newfound vibrancy filling the space. They had embraced their fears and collectively transformed them into something powerful. Mark approached Sarah, his eyes reflecting the warmth of the shared moment. "You did it. We did it." Sarah smiled, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you guys." They turned the spotlight back onto the audience, celebrating the shared triumph. Jenna's laughter faded, and she slipped away into the night, consumed by her own doubt. Despite her words, they had created something special that even she couldn't dismantle. Together, the community had found strength, and Sarah felt transformed. She would lead them towards a brighter future, one built on unity, love, and resilience. This was not just a talent show. It was a reminder that they could rise stronger together and that hope always persevered against the darkness. And with every cheer echoing into the night, Sarah held on to the belief that they were ready for anything. She would never forget this moment, a beautiful cacophony of strength. Now it's your turn to join this journey of hope. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you're here with us. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of lifting each other up through these actions.